Our story begins in the Jusenkyo Springs in China in the Ranma 1/2 anime. Ranma Saotome, his father Genma Saotome in his panda form, and his fiancée Akane Tendo would take a trip to China upon hearing rumors about the spring of drowned man suddenly reappearing. In the Jusenkyo Springs, Ranma along with Genma would immediately try finding the spring of drowned man, just when Ryoga Hibiki, Ranma's rival, shows up and tries to take a dip in the spring. Ranma would immediately fight Ryoga, claiming that he just wants to be freed his curse. They would clash for a while until Ryoga himself sends Ranma flying backwards with one of his techniques, causing Ranma to accidentally bump into Akane, causing her to fall into one of the springs known as Huli Nishwan, the spring of drowned fox, which has a terrible tale of a fox who drowned 2,000 years ago, according to the Jusenkyo guide himself, and anyone unfortunate enough to fall into that spring would assume the body of a fox when in cold water. Ranma, Ryoga, and Genma would be shocked, with Ranma thinking to himself, "Oh boy." And then moments later, Akane would emerge as a navy blue furred fox, complete with making yipping sounds, much to the three's shock, especially Ranma himself, realizing that Akane is now cursed much him, Ryoga, and his father Genma. Ranma would slowly put his hand over the now fox Akane, but she suddenly snaps at him by loudly yipping. She would even attempt to bite him, but Genma would restrain her by holding her. Ranma would then find the Jusenkyo guide guy and ask him about the spring of drowned boy rumors he heard earlier, but as it turns out, the rumors were actually false, much to Ranma's shock. But then the Jusenkyo guide would pour hot water on Akane, turning her back to her girl form. But Akane would still be angry at Ranma, being all like, "Ranma, this is all your fault." But Ranma himself would also be like, "Wait, Akane, you don't understand, it was an accident." When they went to the Tendo dojo, Ranma and Genma explained to Akane's sisters Kasumi and Nabiki and her father Sound that poor Akane accidentally fell into the spring of drowned fox and can turn into a fox herself when in cold water and can turn back when in hot water. They demonstrate this when Genma pours a bucket of cold water on Akane, turning her into her fox form, shocking both sisters and her father. And Sound himself is especially shocked because he learned his poor daughter was cursed much like Ranma and his father Genma. But they would then get used to Akane's new change. The rest of the timeline would most likely stay the same, albeit the only difference being that fact that Akane could turn into a fox when in cold water and back into a human when in hot water. And yes, this would happen. A lot. Much like Ranma's male to female curse, Genma's human to panda curse, Ryoga's human to black piglet curse, Shampoo's human to cat curse, and Pantyhose Taro's human to Yeti bull crane eel curse. Also, there would be some rather comical situations such as Akane in her fox form fighting with Shampoo in her cat form and Ryoga in his black piglet form, which Akane kept him as a pet naming him P-chan, would struggle to get comfortable with Akane's fox form. Her fox form, similarly to Ranma's girl form, would also be useful in combat despite being on all fours as a feral fox. This form would even be useful in scaring Hapose, especially when he tries to steal a bra from her. But eventually, both Kasumi and Nabiki would get interested in transformations from Jusenkyo, and would then head to China themselves to get transformations of their own, much to their father Suno's shock. Kasumi would jump into Chiang Kwang Nima Xian, spring of drowned white steed of light, and emerge as a brown-furred Pegasus. While Nabiki would jump into Ying Shi Shou Xian, spring of drowned eagle lion beast, and emerge as a brown-furred griffin. And much like Ryoga's black piglet form, Kasumi's Pegasus form and Nabiki's griffin form would lead to rather comical situations such as Nabiki accidentally turning into her griffin form when sprayed with cold water, accidentally destroying a new dress with her increased size. But luckily, their cursed forms would also come in handy in combat such as when fighting Pantyhose Taro's cursed form. And like Akane's fox form, both Kasumi and Nabiki would switch between their human and cursed forms with cold water and hot water respectively. And yes, they would keep this for the rest of the series. What are your thoughts on this cool, what if? Make sure to like and subscribe for more alternate reality scenarios.